Maybe not quite as big as a baseball. Maybe my estimation was a little bit off, but that goes to show you just how monster these things get. What's up, Lazy Dog fam? Hope all y'all are having an awesome day. It is Thursday, July 6th here in South Georgia. And on today's video, we're going to try to answer a question that we've been getting a lot lately, which is, do these delicious figs have bugs inside? Or better yet, when you eat one of these, are you crunching down on a bunch of dead bugs? Now, like I said, we've been getting this question a lot lately, especially from people who have never grown figs and are curious about growing figs in their backyard. If you do a quick Google search on this, you will indeed find quite a few websites that will tell you that when you eat a fig, you're eating a bunch of dead bugs. Now, I've eaten a ton of figs, probably more figs than a feller should eat, and I've never knowingly eaten any dead bugs when eating one of these delicious figs. So let's back up a little bit here and provide a little context to try to answer this question. Now, depending on who you ask, there are 800 or more varieties of figs all over the world. And amongst all those varieties, there are 4 main types of figs. You have Capri figs, Smyrna figs, San Pedro figs, and then common figs. The common fig is what we grow and probably what most of you have experienced in your life. Those other 3 types we don't see a lot over here in the States. Now, I'm not going to get into the differences between the Capri, the Smyrna, and the San Pedro type figs on this video, but if you want to take a deeper dive into that, you can go to our website, lazydogfarm.com. We've got several blogs explaining the differences between those types of figs. The important thing to know for this video, though, is that all the figs we grow, all the fig varieties that we carry on our website, are all common figs, which means they don't need the fig wasp. Now, although we frequently call this a fruit, it is technically not a fruit. A fig is an inverted flower or an inflorescence housed inside a structure called a syconium. And if we take a look inside one of these delicious Canadria figs, we can see the parts of that inverted flower. If you think about what a flower normally looks like, those parts right there look exactly the same. And if we look really close at the inside of this fig, we can see at the top of some of those flower parts, we have these little crunchy seeds. So if you eat a fresh fig and feel a little crunch, it's not a bunch of dead bugs that you're crunching on, it's just those seeds inside that inverted flower structure. So these common figs, although they can have little seeds inside of them, do not propagate via seeds. They are propagated via cuttings we take from our orchard here and grow out in our greenhouse right over there. And that's because these common figs here are parthenocarpic, which is just a fancy word for doesn't require pollination. You might have heard us talk about parthenocarpic cucumber varieties before. Those are varieties that will produce cucumbers without any bee pollination. So these common fig varieties don't require pollination, which means you don't need to worry about the presence of a fig wasp in your area. It also means you don't need to plant multiple fig trees in your backyard to enjoy some delicious figs. You can just plant one tree from one variety and you'll still get some tasty figs to eat. Now, those other 3 types of figs that I mentioned earlier, the Capri fig, the Smyrna fig, and the San Pedro fig, do require pollination by the fig wasp or are involved in the fig wasp pollination process, but it's not very likely that you're going to accidentally purchase one of those types. You go buy fig trees online or at your local nursery, big box store, you're pretty much always going to be buying common fig varieties, so no worries about eating any bugs when you eat the figs. But just as a side note, that whole fig wasp pollination cycle process, whatever you want to call it, is absolutely fascinating, and we have a blog on our website kind of detailing the whole cycle. It's a perfect example of mutualism, where you have 2 things kind of working in conjunction with one another so both can reproduce. The fig wasp has to have the fig so it can reproduce, and the fig has to have the fig wasp so it can reproduce. Now, I told you that these common fig varieties don't get the fig wasp inside of them, but they can get bugs eating on them, especially through the bottom. So you'll see a little hole there called an eye or an ostiole. And some fig varieties have an open ostiole, some have a fairly closed ostiole. So you can see on that green Canadria fig there, it's pretty tightly closed. We don't really ever have issues with bugs getting in those. On the LSU Tiger that's beside it, not really a big open eye, but there's a little hole there where bugs can get inside. So we do have some bugs getting a few of those from time to time. So now that hopefully we've cleared up that fig myth or fig misconception, let's walk around and see what varieties we have that are producing for us right now. So let's start off with this Canadria tree, which was the fig I was showing you earlier, the one we cut open. And this tree, this variety, just continues to amaze me year after year. This is the most productive variety we have relative to the size of the tree. That big brown turkey tree produces more, but that tree is huge. This tree is only about, I don't know, 6 foot tall, probably 6 foot in diameter, and I have picked at least 7 or 8 gallon bags of figs off this tree, and still more to get, as you see there. So it has lost most of its leaves, no worries about that. The cycle with this tree is that it will put on leaves in the spring, then it's going to make a ton of figs, and then once it's done with that round of production, it will start putting on more leaves like we see there, see some new growth, and we'll get another round of production from this tree later in the year. And then beside that Canadria tree, we've got our trusty old LSU Tiger tree here, which is still producing a few figs for us. There's a nice ripe one right there, and still got a few on the tree there that are yet to ripen. This tree has given us a good many figs, not as many as the Canadria over there, but this is a really good producing variety for us, and we'll get another round of production from this tree before the year's over. And then right beside that one, kind of at the front of this part of our fig orchard, we have a variety I'm really excited to tell you about. So this one here is called Salem Dark. We didn't propagate a lot of these this year. I have a few, 6 or 7, that I did propagate, and these are some of the best tasting figs in my opinion. Let me find one over here that's perfectly ripe. Look at that puppy right there. Nice dark purple color on those. So this Salem Dark variety here is a berry fig. I'll open it up and show you the inside. Nice dark berry color on those. And a really, really rich berry flavor. If there was ever a fig that tasted just like berry jam, this would be it. If you were making jelly with these, no need to add any of that strawberry flavor or anything like that. You'd be ruining the great flavor from this fig here. You really wouldn't need to add anything but the gelatin, maybe a little bit of sugar. These taste so good by themselves, I don't think you really need to add anything. So we just added these to the website, and like I said, I don't have a ton of these, just a few. Once those are gone, they'll be gone for the year. We will propagate quite a few more of these at the end of this year, so we'll have more next spring. But if you've never had a berry fig, that one there is one to try. Now this next variety is one that we do still have available on our website. This is Violet de Bordeaux. And I wanted to show you this one because the length of time it takes these figs to ripen is different than some of the other varieties we carry. So you'll see those little figs right there, those little green figs. Those figs formed at the same time that we were getting early figs on the Canadria and LSU Tiger tree that I just showed you. But they'll just sit there like this for a long time, and you'll begin to wonder if you're ever going to get any ripe figs. You got to be patient with these a little bit, but sooner or later they will enlarge and turn a nice dark purple color like that. So this Violet de Bordeaux, or VDB variety, is pretty highly regarded amongst the fig community because it has such a kind of tart berry flavor to it. Now this one isn't perfectly ripe yet. It could have stood to stay on the tree a little longer, but you can see just how red the inside of that is. And you get that tartness there, a little more of a sharper berry flavor on that one as opposed to the Salem fig I showed you earlier. And then the last one over here I wanted to show you are these giant GE Neri figs. Now these produce pretty heavily for us as we move into fall. We get a little bit of a, say, midsummer harvest on them. We're getting a few figs on them now, but we'll get a bunch more in the next few months. I don't know if you can tell just how big that is right there, but that's a tennis ball size fig. I think that one we can harvest. It looks ripe. This one over here looks pretty on one side. On the other side, it's been worked on pretty good there. So there's a baseball, and there's that GE Neri fig. Maybe not quite as big as a baseball. Maybe my estimation was a little bit off, but that goes to show you just how monster these things get. So these are what I call the full meal deal. Don't take many of these to get your daily fiber intake and also satisfy that sweet tooth. I'll open this puppy up here so you can see the inside of it. So nice sugary inside. This is a sugar fig. Really, really tasty. Wouldn't take many of these to make a few jars of jelly. So I hope you enjoyed a little figging around out here today. I'm all fibered up and ready to conquer the rest of the day. As always, you can find links to our affiliate companies and coupon codes in the description below. Also go check out our website, lazydogfarm.com, where you can find all these delicious fig varieties that I just showed you. And if you want to see some of the other varieties that we've already been eating this year, check out this video right here that we did several weeks ago talking about the importance of irrigation with these fig trees and showing you some of those delicious figs. So check that out, and we'll see you next time right here at Lazy Dog Farm.